Burlesque is an art form that dates back hundreds and hundreds of years that has evolved over time.
It encompasses a lot of things. There's the element of the tease, there's the sexiness.
You've got more than just striptease, you've got dance and comedy and just all around fun, sexy entertainment.
It goes back to the vaudevillian days. It was kind of born out of vaudeville, which was more variety show, but the purpose of burlesque was to kind of poke fun at, social norms, sometimes politics.
It was comedy, stand-up, but also women dancing and original movement.
With the Great Depression, people were trying to get people to come into their establishments, into pretty girls. That's how you do it.
You could kind of think of it as early SNL, but not so much the sketches, but the way burlesque dancers would dance. It was making fun of gender roles and society's expectations and things like that.
But there's also a playfulness and a baughtiness to it.
Some people believe that contemporary burlesque is the more scantily clad, the better, the more like people who are strippers, the better. And others believe that it has more to do with vaudeville elements.
It's evolved over time to be this neo-burlesque thing now where it's changed a lot in terms of how much people take off.
It was meant to challenge, to shock, titillate, to challenge. That was kind of the purpose of burlesque.
It's almost an anything goes sort of atmosphere where you're going to be able to come and be hopefully titillated and intrigued, but you're also going to be able to do so in a safe venue.
I originally wanted to start the burlesque troupe because I had poor body image and I wanted to change that. And I felt like empowering myself with a group of women and men that were all varying shapes and sizes would really reach that goal.
I'd been thinking about it myself for a long time, doing burlesque.
I wanted to join the troupe because, first of all, I really believed in their message of empowerment, and their stated objective was to show that you could be sexy via the tease as opposed to explicitness, and that everybody is and can be sexy.
Well, I had never considered it until one day Dean emailed me asking me to be an audience plant where I'd have to strip off all my clothes.
I was going to orchestrate music for her, so we would have a live band, really go old school with it. But the timing didn't work out. So we ended up in a smaller venue, so we couldn't do the live band, which actually made the job easier. So I wasn't involved directly in the first couple of shows, and then I came in as a guest performer on a couple of shows.
I've always sort of liked that idea, but I wanted to dabble in it without having to expose myself to the elements that are unsavory to me. And so it wasn't just the burlesque element, it was the people who were involved to begin with.
And then I thought, could I do that? I think I could. And then they invited me to their workshop where I learned the routine, and I thought, okay, I think I can do this.
I was very excited to be a part of that message. I was also excited to have an opportunity to try and do some humor and jokes that would challenge an audience, but that would hopefully also at the same time still be funny.
These women are, and the gentlemen are, artists, intellectuals, creative people, and people who are interested in investing in community, and that's what made me want to invest in burlesque.
And I got in somehow. And then I was like, all right, I think I can do this in the first show, and sure as shit, I did it.
They decided that they wanted an MC in the classic burlesque style, and they approached me to do it rather. I was really excited to.
So it started out originally as just one show, and it became so popular that we've done, I think, 12 original shows since then.
There are two ways for women to get into the Fischer bodies. Of course, they can attend one of the burlesque workshops that we offer, or they can volunteer to work as a stage kid for us. Actually, there's a third way, but she left her knee pads at home. So.
Well, there is a process to become a Fischer body. The first thing you have to do is see a show.
Then, if you want to pursue it, you take tickets, sell tickets at the door.
What we do is unlike what anyone else does with burlesque. and theater. So you have to see a show, make sure it's what you want.
If it's still something that you want to get into after that, you stage kitten for us.
And then we ask you to audition for us.
I was asked to join.
I became a member by auditioning.
And sometimes you'll be in skits or a small number.
They knew my work as a writer and as a performer, and they thought that I would make the perfect MC.
And then we bring people in very slowly because we heap so much responsibility on our members.
After that, then you become a guest artist.
I joined as a guest performer originally.
And then we're able to sort of mentor you to see if that, if you're picking it up or if it is working for you or if it's just not a good fit. If it is, then you become a member of the bodies.
Everyone is very tight, and it requires so much will to stay involved. You have to always be checking on the call board, which is where I post information. You have to always be working on your numbers. It doesn't actually ever end.
Second or third show as a guest performer, and I've done a couple of guest performer slots. I would come in and perform, play music for them, do an opening act.
Apparently they haven't changed their minds yet, which is always good.
And I think how anyone else can become a member, I think you have to wait for one of us to drop dead or drop out.
I had been thinking about my character for a long time and I couldn't come up with anything.
So I'm driving down the street one day and I saw one of those really low-budge hand-painted signs. It's just a cardboard and the wire stuck in the ground with marker written on them.
She kind of came out of nowhere. I was totally thought I was like, yeah, having to be mysterious and sexy, but no.
I decided on Victoria Nightshade for a number of reasons. I wanted to pick something that resonated with a part of me that I don't get to show every day when I'm doing my thing at home.
I don't know that it was a conscious decision. It's just sort of evolved over time.
This is a chance to explore my character. And she came out as this bubbly, adorable airhead.
I've always liked the name Victoria, and I feel some connection with like the Victorian era of times.
And it said Queen Pillow Top and it had a phone number.
It's just been a process of finding my voice and finding out what works with an audience and what doesn't. So it's always a metamorphosis.
I decided that Nada Tizovich should always have a Russian accent. Now it comes and goes, this terrible Russian accent that Nada Tizovich has when she's in shows.
Nightshade for the deadly nightshade flower, and something about midnight and mystery and danger it's all who I wanted to portray, and I think that name showcases that. I'm not sure that there has been a ton of group input on the theme. I usually create it and then I just put it out there and then they go, sure. But now more and more people are coming to me with theme ideas.
We hit on some things that have worked really well for us. Monster-themed shows, the Rocky Horror Burlesque. They're things that all of us in the troupe are both really on fire about.
I've thrown out some ideas, and really it's just like, what sounds cool, unique?
I suppose it's just really gauged by how much interest do we think that the community is going to have in this theme.
It depends on the time of year and what theme we're doing.
What haven't I seen anyone do before? What can help us in the future? What is a show that we could take some other place?
It ends up being us telling the troupe we're going to use this theme, and then they jump on board. If someone else has a really strong idea for a theme, then we use it in the future.
How is it going to resonate with them? So are they going to come? Are they going to show up? And what do we know about it? Is it relevant?
My very first show, which was Zombie Burlesque, they picked the song for me.
I largely decide what songs to use based on how it makes me feel, because I'm ultimately the one who has to dance to it.
Every show except for the vampire show, the girls were picking their own songs.
It really just depends on the theme. Like sometimes the second I hear the theme, like the idea for the song comes to me, like Circus, I knew immediately. I wanted to be the girl who was raised by wolves, and I knew Woman by Wolfmother was like the song. It was just it.
We've used songs before that I've never heard before, and I have to become okay with them.
For instance, the circus theme, and then we say, I'd like to do 2 numbers, and I choose the music for those numbers.
Vampire, they had the songs all picked out because that was a very tightly run show.
I consider it an intimate process. I consider it like having children, because you get to know them so well, so absurdly well.
We really don't have a vote or anything like that on it. We just trust that if the girl says, I can do it, that she'll be able to do it.
For the upcoming show, Flirty Little Secrets, it took me forever to find the songs.
Overall, it's do they fit together? Do they sound cohesive in a show? Is it all jumbled up? To me, it's really important that when you put them all together, you've got a show.
Sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's really hard.
Oh, the prep work is insane. It's more than a full-time job.
The storyline shows take a lot of work, and they can take anywhere up to 2 to 3 weeks of constant writing for that.
Tons of prep work, especially for me because my brain moves a mile a minute.
A fuck ton. A fuck ton. Put that in. Oh my God. We rehearse our asses off.
There are 7 or 8 people working on it at all times for at least a month, usually 2.
The second the next show is even suggested, my brain is automatically like a second offshoot is working on that show.
I'll look at a couple of different things. We'll look at what the established personas of the girls are and try to make some jokes about that.
Depending on what original elements we want for every show, this show I'd love to do a backdrop. I don't know if that's going to happen, like a backdrop, like we paint a backdrop and put it up. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's going to take a lot of work.
You know, I get done with my 9 to 5 and I come home and I eat and then I rehearse.
We'll look at what the nature of the number that they're performing is and try to make some jokes about that. Sometimes it can be as simple as, you know, the title of a song will suggest a joke to you and you'll go from that.
Not just rehearsal, but also promotion, also making of the flyers and the posters that we need to do.
It's never ending, and even when I'm at work, I take my breaks, I have a little notebook and I write down thoughts, ideas, inspirations for a number, for this show, for a future show, a different theme that popped into my head that might be good for a show.
The time it takes to perfect choreography depends greatly on the story.
For a show that's more storyline oriented, the first and foremost thing is always to come up with a strong concept for the show and find a way to tell a story that's still moving things forward and be entertaining at the same time.
Up until now, I've had really complicated choreography. I'm known for having the most difficult.
The time it takes to perfect the choreography, it varies from routine to routine.
It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do something acrobatic, it might take more. If I'm doing a solo fan dance, it's going to take a lot more.
More than one rehearsal, which is actually quite a bit for our troupe when you consider that we only have one rehearsal a week.
Group routines, it's a lot harder because you're trying to think about what other people are going to look like doing these moves, and solos, it's hard because it's just you and you can't see yourself.
Something I did for the circus show, it was a minute and a half. I had this baby thing coming out of me and I stabbed it. It was easy. It didn't take very long. You know what I'm talking about.
5 to 10 hours outside of it of plotting and deciding what's going to work well and what's not.
I have to write everything down because otherwise I will forget my own choreography and have it improvise. It's never really perfected. It's just good enough sometimes.
My inspiration for performing, it comes from the desire that I have to tell my story.
Gosh, I'm not really sure if I can name one solid inspiration. Drag performers, I think.
I look to everything for inspiration when I'm doing a number.
In this business of show and acting and theater, which I've grown up in, has been tough because you're based on what you look like.
I don't know what it is about taking all the stuff that a woman does to get ready for a burlesque show and putting it on a man.
Scour the internet for inspiration, just anything to get the spark.
Yeah, sure, you can act, but are you thin? Do you have blonde hair? You don't? You're out. And I rebel against that every chance I get. So my inspiration is to showcase the body that I have in a positive, uplifting way so that women and men can feel that this is not what matters, really. It's what your motivations are, what your intentions are.
Being able to show that there are really cool things happening in Flint and from Flint inspires me. At the same time, it's aggravating because you wonder if it's really appreciated.
It's so hard to say what my goals for the group are because it evolves so much, and it's already evolved in ways that I never could have seen coming.
I would like to see the group expand to beyond Flint, but also continue to do shows in Flint.
I want to see us travel, do conventions, do bigger things, and just completely dominate.
I know that I want to keep a strong brand with the Fischer Bodies. I want to keep making us more accessible, more professional.
I'd like for it to be about outreach. I'd like for it to be about feminism. It already is, but even more so.
Yeah, even out of state, I'd love to go to New York, Chicago, go everywhere. Let's go. I'm all gung-ho for let's go across the country. Fischer Bodies World Tour.
In that, yes, it is sexy, and it is night entertainment for an adult crowd, and it's sophisticated. But it's also about incorporating our community.
My goal is to go showcase what we do in a way that is accessible to the community.
We represent the Flint artists. Out of the percentages of people that live in Flint, the Flint artists are this really small percentage.
Fischer Bodies represents Flint in a very strong, powerful, and positive way because Flint is known for being in the pits, just being in the ashes of despair.
I think the Fischer Bodies definitely represent Flint because we all rose above something to get where we are.
And we're fierce. And the Fischer Bodies represent that population in Flint.
What we represent are those people who find a way out of that, who can live here and work here and have a family here.
But we all overcame it. We all overcame our own body issues to be able to do this. And Flint has overcome a lot.
And be fierce and just have glitter all over our bodies all the time. That's what we represent. And I think that that's a good thing for Flint because Flint has nothing like that.